Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of the Quisha King Show. I am your host, Quisha King Benton. I almost forget sometimes, but welcome. So, my name is Quisha King, and I have a lot of new subscribers. So, welcome. Thank you so much for finding my content interesting. I know it's just a click of a button, but it means a lot to me that you all are tuning in and watching my content and liking what I have to say. So I really appreciate it. Go ahead and hit that like button, share this video out, show some support for the channel if you would like. And let's get on into what we have to talk about because we got three main topics tonight. Monday Night Lights, where we are lighting the world with truth. So we're going to talk about an update on the Karmelo Anthony case. I'm not going to say I was right, but maybe I was right. We have judges that are being arrested because they want to aid and abet illegals. And we have the Supreme Court who is hearing cases on LGBTQ books in the classroom. Now, y'all know that is that's what kind of got me started politically. Education. My own children were being asked inappropriate questions in public school. I had to pull mine out. We'll get more into that. But first, let's get into this Karmelo Anthony update. Hi, Harry. Hello, hello, and hello on Instagram. Hello on Twitter. All right, so let's read this here. Actually. All right, the truth about the threats, in quotes, that prompted teen murder suspect Karmelo Anthony and his family to flee their $900,000 gated community home. Now, what could scare them so bad that they would have to leave their home? Well, at least one of the threats of violence that prompted alleged teen murderer Karmelo Anthony, and I know y'all are like, why do we have to keep saying alleged? Because he hasn't been convicted yet. So that's why we have to keep saying alleged. Hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Oops. All right. At least one of the threats of violence that prompted alleged teen murderer Karmelo Anthony and his family to flee their gated community was carried out by kids with water guns. The Daily Mail can reveal kids with water guns. That's why they had to flee the threats. Meanwhile, the Metcalf family has been swatted 3 times. They're getting actual death threats. They're getting public wishes for them to not be here. They are bigging up Karmelo for what he did on their Give Send Go page. Okay. So we don't have to assume about those. We see them outright in front, but let's keep reading. Anthony, 17, is accused of murdering teen track star Austin Metcalf, also 17, during a track meeting earlier this month in Frisco, Texas, because of a seating dispute, mind you. The details remain murky. But the attack centers around a fight that began when Anthony, a student at Centennial High School, went to sit under the rival school's tent. Metcalf, a student at Memorial, the opposing school, confronted him, and the pair started arguing. At some point, a knife was produced, and Metcalf died in his twin brother's arms. The case has become a national flashpoint about race and privilege, with the Metcalf and Anthony families subjected to online threats, swatting calls, and their addresses made public. Has the Anthony family, have they been swatted? I don't think they've been swatted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Let's see. Just days ago, while Metcalf's family has shied away from the cameras, the Anthony family has spoken loudly, hosting press conferences where they say that they're the ones victimized. Y'all remember that? We covered it last week, where they are the mom says, my daughter can't even sleep at night. Meanwhile, the Metcalf family, their son is sleeping in a grave. Okay. Down like this, just disgusting. Just days ago, they abandoned their $900,000 home in a gated community. Yes, darling. And went into hiding in an undisclosed location. Public records obtained by the Daily Mail show that Anthony's father called 911 last week when Anthony was still staying there after teenagers drove by with toy guns. Toys. They were so scared of the toy guns. Frisco cops were called to home April 15th by Andrew Anthony, the suspect's father, around 7:51 p.m., and two Jeeps with teen passengers were seen driving past the house through the doorbell camera. Within the first minute of his interaction with police, Andrew acknowledged the weapons the kids had were play guns. He further described, oops, what's going on here? He further described the two Jeeps as having four passengers each, both with white and black males in the cars. Okay, so it wasn't a bunch of white guys, it was mixed, you know, probably how most kids these days are with each other, you know. They not on the whole, most kids are not even on that race stuff. It's the adults that they're trying to keep a check, trying to keep it alive. Let's see. Anthony also told police that that the play guns were never pointed at them. The incident report says officers caught up with the kids. They were. This is what it looks like a quote, partial quote. High schoolers were driving through the area with water guns, looking for their friend in the area to squirt their water guns. The officer detailed. Subjects stated they did not realize Karmelo Anthony's house was right there at first and that they were only trying to find their uninvolved friend's house. Subject apologized for spooking the residents and stated that there was no intent to make contact with them, no offense or emergency at this time. Despite the incident deemed a non-emergency by the local police, Anthony's families has been very public about, quote, threats that they have received since their son became the suspect in a murder case. No specifics have been shared about those alleged incidents. I wonder why. I wonder why no specifics have been shared. I mean, if you're so afraid, why haven't you called the police? Anthony's mother wept as she spoke about the negative attention her son's case has drawn at her family at a press conference last week. We have endured death threats, Anthony's mother, Kayla Hayes, says while her voice cracked with emotion at the Dallas press conference. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. Well, I mean, yeah, you tend to be fearful when someone in your house killed somebody. I don't know. I'm just saying, I know that's her brother and everything, but you might be a little fearful if that happens to you. Her husband wiped away tears from her face while she disputed what she called lies about her family that had been spread online and vowed the truth would come out when her son has his day in court. Moments before she took the stage, Austin's father, Jeff, was escorted out of the event. The family spokesperson, we all know what happened with that. Meanwhile, Anthony, a former football and track athlete, will serve out the that says reminder, but it should be the remainder of his house arrest at a secret location. Secret. The accused murderer has been removed from his family's Frisco house to an undisclosed location as they worry for his safety, according to Next Generation Action Network. The other criminal that's supposed to be like the advocate or something for them. Yeah, that guy. Dominique, or Nick, as he goes by on X. How you doing? Anyway, this comes as an alarming increase in death threats, continued harassment, and physical intimidation targeted at the family's home have rolled in over the past few days. The nonprofit group claimed. I'm not buying it. Prove it. Like my friend Blanche says, prove it. We want to see it. I want to see these threats. And it better be something more than some toy gun, some water guns. Under the terms of the house arrest, Anthony may only leave the house with prior approval of the courts and must be supervised by a parent or adult designee at all times. He's also prohibited from having contact, direct or indirect, with the family of the alleged victim because the allegations against him. The senior has been expelled from his school just weeks before graduation, and uh, and will not be allowed to walk the stage to accept his diploma, reported Dallas station Fox 4. He will still officially graduate so long as he's met all the requirements, according to the local outlet. So that is the update. I don't know about you, but I am not surprised that there's no real threats. I mean, some people, some groups of people just don't really move like that. Like that's I would have been very surprised if there were a bunch of death threats towards the Anthony family. Hi, Jesus loves you. Hi, Karen. Hi, Miss Graves. Over on YouTube. Thanks for joining. Just making sure I answer any questions or anything like that. So like I said, I'm not surprised. I just wanted to give you guys the update on this story because we have been covering it, and any further updates I will make sure to keep you posted. But my final thoughts on this is I don't believe anything that the Anthony family presents. I'm sorry, I don't, because they don't seem to be people that are um upright people. I'm just saying, like when you just browse around on their channel, you got the dad, he's like using extremely vulgar language around his children. And I am not one of those parents. I'm not like, oh my God, you said a bad word, but he's dropping F-bombs around the kids. Like they're little kids, he's being, you know they live a very extravagant, like it seems like there's a lot of attention to material things. It doesn't seem like there seems to be a lot of grounding in values and morals and character and things that make good citizens, good children, good, the mom made this claim, like, we put God first in everything we do. And as I'm looking through their social media, I'm like, but where though? But where? Your husband is like grabbing your butt inappropriately on Facebook post. Like it's just not given very God fearing, that you're putting, that you're putting God in everything that you do. And I'm not trying to harshly judge this family. They didn't do it. They aren't the ones that did it, but they raised this. This is what they raised. And so, no, I don't really believe them. I don't. I just don't think that people are going at them like that. Like, I really don't. And I could be wrong. Maybe they are. I think they should produce some evidence, though, because what it's looking like is that what the rumors were, that y'all were taking this money and going and buying this and buying that, it's looking to be true. That's what it's looking like. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, because I don't want to just make assumptions. All right.
Is taking up a case over certain types of books in elementary schools. It all stems from a group of parents in Maryland. They want to be able to opt their children out of lessons that involve books with themes of gender and sexuality. The reason, they say, is that it goes against their religion. NBC News White House correspondent walk us through what's expected to happen tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow the Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in a case about whether Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland is violating the Constitution by not allowing parents to opt their children out of a policy that requires teachers to read students at least one book a year focused on LGBTQ plus teen themes and diversity. I traveled to the community to see what this is at the heart of this case. And again, oral arguments are going to be tomorrow. Take a listen. In the largest school.
Now, I want you guys to understand something before I play the rest of this. This is simply to opt out. That's all they want to do. They want to opt out of when they're going to be reading books on LGBTQ stuff. That's all they want to do. I want to say that so y'all don't think like, oh, the parents are coming in here trying to change the curriculum, or the parents want the books not even in the schools. No, the parents simply want to sign a little piece of paper that says, if you're going to be talking about this, we'll keep the kids home that day. That's all. That's all they're fighting for.
District in Maryland, a dispute over books, gender, and religion is pitting families against each other in a case now coming before the Supreme Court. At issue, a policy by Montgomery County Public Schools that does not allow parents to opt their children out of lessons that use these books and feature LGBTQ plus themes, including same-sex love stories and transgender characters. In 2023, a group of parents who are Muslim, Catholic, and Ukrainian Orthodox filed a lawsuit saying the school policy violates their First Amendment rights to freedom of religion. But the policy has been upheld by lower courts. The case is bringing a heated national debate to this community.
The Islamic faith and numerous other faiths, we believe that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Wael El-Kasheri, a Muslim parent, has pulled his 9-year-old daughter out of the school system and is now homeschooling her. He is not part of the lawsuit, but has been organizing protests against the policy.
I'm responsible for my child, and I want the accommodations to make sure that that child is raised in an ecosystem that I believe does not contradict my religious beliefs.
Jeffrey Gans and his husband, Dennis Williams, support the school's policy.
You may not agree with homosexuality, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So by removing a child from the classroom, it's sending a totally negative message to that other child in that classroom who might be struggling with their identity.
If I could have had a book like that when I was young, it would have made all the difference in the world.
El-Kasheri says he doesn't want the school system to change his curriculum, just to allow him to opt out, though he thinks some of the books are not age appropriate for students.
Children at a young age are very impressionable.
Eric Baxter, a lawyer for the parents suing, plans to argue the
I'm sorry, I had to stop it right there, but you an LGBTQ book in school would have helped you tremendously. To what exactly? What exactly would you being, I don't know, a 5-year-old, what exactly about what learning that it could that gay people existed that helps you in your being gay? Like if it was natural, okay, here, let me just say what I'm trying to say. I didn't need a book to tell me, that boys and girls like each other, they kiss, they get married. I didn't need a book to tell me that. I didn't need a book. I really didn't even need a book to tell me, sexual, how sex works. Because it's kind of like, you kind of know, you might not know all the details, but you kind of know because it's natural. It's a natural thing that we go through as human beings. That's not how God created it to be. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't mean that, we don't treat you with kindness and respect. Um, it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that you don't deserve rights, equal rights. But why do we want to talk about sex with little kids? Because quite frankly, I don't even want heterosexual sex talked to with 5-year-olds. I don't. I don't want heterosexual sex talked to. I pulled my children out. So these comments are really for parents whose children are still in public school. And you have to think about these things, because what this is doing, it's really putting before the public, society, American society, what your rights are as a parent and what your rights aren't when you give them over to a government institution. Because I'm not trying to be harsh, I'm not trying to be cruel, um, but you are giving your children over to a government system, and you can't you can't put your beliefs on everybody like you would want to. And then you can't demand that the school does it just because it's a public school. So if the law says this is what we're going to teach, then your kids are going to be subject to these lessons. You may not like it. This is a harsh reality for a lot of us who are Christians. I heard Vodi Bakum say this once. He said, you can't send your kids to to Caesar and expect them not to come home speaking like Romans. Yeah, we send our kids to these government indoctrination camps. That's what I call them, for 5 days a week, 7 to 8 hours a day for 13 years. And we think that they're not going to be influenced or indoctrinated by somebody else's values. They are. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. These schools are like prison wards. These kids are out of control, as we see with Karmelo Anthony. You can grow up $900,000 house, both parents, all the things, but he's been in public school his whole life, guaranteed. And the schools are just they're not going well. I'm not ignoring the comments, by the way. I'm trying to do better with staying focused, and then I'll go back and read them. I'll have a time when I just go and read comments so I can stay focused. But that's something that we have to realize, especially as believers. They are getting extremely radical in the schools. I listened to the Supreme Court hearings on this case. The parents are literally just asking for an opt-out. The teachers, the school, the attorney for the schools, they're saying, no, this is instruction. They have turned the books into instruction material. They are saying that it is no longer see now they done gone past just the books being in the library. You see how fast that went? First it was, oh, they're just in the library. Calm down, parents. No, they done gone way past that. No, these books are being used for instruction. So therefore, see, we're using, this is what they said. They said we're using the books to instruct on how to be kind, how to be inclusive, how to accept different walks of life. I am telling you, in not too short of a time, they're going to be advocating for, how do I say this in a YouTube friendly way, people that like young people, they're going to be advocating for that too. And I know some of y'all out there think that I'm being radical myself when I say that, but it's already happening. They are already being vocal about this, that is not that these people shouldn't be ostracized in society. It's just a preference. That's just a preference that they have. That's what they say. Yeah. That's what they say. That is what they are telling. That's what they're saying in the schools. And at the end of some of these books, they made the children, and these are not 16, 17-year-old kids. These are like second graders, because the book was like, some of the books titles were like, oh gosh, I should have wrote them down, but they were like Pride Puppy. So that gives you the kind of sense of, the type of books. They were for little kids. Check this out though. They had to go, the students had to, at the end of the lesson, they had to go and identify the drag queen, identify different, feathers and feather boas and all kind of stuff. Yes, that's what they had to go identify this kind of stuff. Let me finish playing this clip.
Case before the High Court.
The Supreme Court has long said that schools aren't there to impose one ideological view, that we learn to get along by respecting each other's views. And that's all we're asking for here.
Montgomery County Public Schools did not respond to our multiple requests for comment. But in court documents, the school district said teachers are not permitted to enforce a particular viewpoint or ask students to change how they feel.
If we allow kids to opt out of this curriculum, of these books, where do we draw the line? Do we opt out of teaching about religion to my children because I don't want them to learn about a religion?
See, here's the thing. I was dedicated to listening to this whole almost 3-hour Supreme Court because I wanted to hear, what in the world would the defense be to not want parents to opt out? So here's the tea for y'all. Because they had an opt out. Now, this was in Virginia. Yes, Montgomery schools, Virginia, in the DC area. They had a opt out before. Here's the tea though. Most of the parents didn't show up for school. They don't want it. I swear it is like, so these are Catholic, Christian, Jews, and Muslims, like predominantly. Like, who would have ever thought we could all bring all these people together? Well, we finally have managed to do that with this, with books. These people have been fighting for centuries. Who knew that all we had to do was throw some little LGBTQ books up there and then, who would have thunk? But no, this is why they're pressing so hard. They have to force the parents to do it, because when they offer the opt out, most parents opt out. Oh my gosh, because most parents don't want their kids learning about gay freaking sex at freaking school, especially when the kids can't even read. Not saying it particular in Montgomery schools, but let's just be honest. Schools all over America are tanking when it comes to reading, math, and all the major academics. They're tanking, okay? But that's why they don't want the opt-out. It's because most parents are opting out. And so look at these fools up here. They want to force your child to listen to this.
Religion different than mine.
Now the 6-3 conservative majority Supreme Court will have the final say.
Wow, Yamiche, great report. How do people on both sides of this issue feel about what the court may decide?
Let me read a few comments. Marcus Soul says, this is sad. I didn't know these things are going on in the schools. Oh, yes, Marcus. Oh, yes, they're going on. Skip it ain't easy. Hey, boo, hey, this is why public schools need to go away. Listen, they should have never been in America in the first place. Okay, we popping over here on YouTube. All right, let's see. Jed says, I do Kairos prison ministry in Texas. I'm saddened to see these youth going to prison. Jesus is their only hope. Indeed, he is. Hi, Doreen. Hi. Hello. Thanks for joining. Mrs. Graves said, let's be honest, a victim or victims are on the other end of each prisoner, so it's worse. True indeed. You know, I sing the national anthem for a group here called the Justice Coalition, and it's a very, I do it twice a year, most of the time, or sometimes around, but most of the time around Christmas, and then again they have like they throw roses, just something to honor the victims. It's for people who have lost a family member to violent crime, or they're kidnapped and they haven't been found. And one of the moms who lost her daughter, her daughter was murdered. She said, we call this thing the criminal justice system. It should be the victim's justice system. And that thing hit me so hard. I'm like, wow, I never thought about it like that. But yeah, it's the victims that we should be caring about. But America has become obsessed, and you want more justice for the freaking criminal. Like, this is insane. Let's see. Now it's the fourth swatting for the Met Capitol. See, this is crazy, and I guarantee you, something about this case is just, I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it. Ms. Graves says, pull kids from government schools. Agreed. Lori Dole says grooming. Agreed. Definitely grooming going on. Have y'all seen, like, just Google teachers being arrested for sexual assault? Like, teacher arrested for sex. It's wild. Google that. You're gonna be shocked. You're gonna be shocked. Let's see, Jack Christian, don't hand your child over to the culture. Do not. Mrs. Gray says, I'm sorry, but being nice, sparing others' feelings is what got us here. You do you, boo, got us here. You're right. You're right. Also, if you're gay, then you better build some thick skin, because the majority of the world is not going to accept you. That is so true, Miss Graves. Let's see. Jed says, I'm working to save money so I can help my future grandchildren attend private schooling where Christ is exalted. You better keep check on them too, Jed. I'm sorry. I hate to be the one. I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news. I'm just saying there are these public. I pulled a child out from a public school. One was in private. I'm sorry. I pulled them, one from private, one from public. Okay. And they was in there talking. The Christian private school was liberal. This thing is so deeply embedded. All the critical race theory, all this LGBTQ stuff, this stuff has been so woven into our institutions. You're going to be hard pressed to find schools that don't have that's not woke. It's just everywhere. The left has done a very good job of embedding these things into our culture. Let's see. Mrs. Gray says, no one has to opt out of religion. It's not being taught. Okay. Yeah, they got rid of that a long time ago. They did that long, long, long time ago. But this is what we're up against. This is what they're doing. Let's see. Wokeism. Karen says, wokeism taken over public and Christian school. Yes, it has. When I got into this fight, 2017, I mean, I didn't pull my kids out until 2020, 2021, I guess. But, just God awakening me to what was happening politically, leaving the left, leaving the Democrat Party and all that stuff. I didn't see a lot of this stuff at first. Like, you don't see it. Deception, it blinds you from truth. And then when truth is presented to you, it's hard to see it because you've been so brainwashed and indoctrinated into one way of thinking, that when the truth is presented to you, it seems so wrong and far off that you don't even recognize it. And so that's why I'm so dedicated to telling the truth and accepting the truth, no matter how hard it is for me to hear, because if it's true, then it's just true. Like, I don't want to be a person just walking around believing lies because it makes me uncomfortable. Like, this is the next generation we're talking about here. Like, you can't just put on blinders and pretend like this stuff is fine. Like Miss Graves said, this is what got us here. Us being like, well, live and let live. Like, let's just let people do whatever they want to do. No, I'm sorry. People doing whatever they want to do. I'm not saying force it on them, but being quiet about it and people doing whatever they want to do is what has gotten us here in the first place. It's crazy. Gary Carnegie says, my sister paid for her 3 girls to attend Christian private school by working with pay as an administrator. She left her executive position at the Bank of Montreal. Listen, you have to do what you have to do. At this particular time, I was a single mom. I was divorced, and but I couldn't. My oldest daughter, her 8th grade teacher asked her first day of school what pronoun she wanted to go by. What pronoun she wanted to go by. And some people say that I, may have, because I wrote the principal, I wrote the teacher, like, why would you ask my child this? She never bothered to write me back. Then a few months later, same teacher was introducing critical race theory. She basically said to all the little kids, if you're Black, you're oppressed. If you're LGBTQ, you're oppressed. If you're Asian, everybody was oppressed, but the white kids. And they, it just be my daughter actually, she recorded this lecture, and the kids just started, it evolved into a bunch of chaos. There was no teaching going on. This is why this was an English class. This was language arts. There was no teaching going on. It was a struggle session of, if you don't know that you're oppressed, by the end of this class, you're going to know you're oppressed. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. And that was not okay with me, because you don't dictate who my child is or what she is going to be in this world. My God in heaven has already set that for her. So it is not up to anybody else to try to impose their will over his will. No, we don't play them games. So yes, I pulled my children out, because you can't have my kids. You can't have the kids. I'm sorry. I draw the line at the babies. They are innocent children. They don't deserve that. That's not education. Y'all, they had me all the way messed up. All the way messed up. What pronoun? It takes me back every time I start talking about it. What pronoun do you want to go by? It's crazy. It is crazy. Listen, I said we will live in a barn and eat bread and potatoes before you get my kids. And I meant that. I meant it. And I mean it today still. What the left has been able to do is put fear in the people, in the parents. You can't, how are you going to make me fear about my own children? This is insane. And listen to the guy. He's like, yeah, why should the kids be? Let's play that one more time. Let's just play that one more time.
Well, it's a good question. We know the school district has one in.
At issue.
Where is he at? Like,
ecosystem
unacceptable.
That I believe does not contradict my religious beliefs.
Jeffrey Gans and his husband, Dennis Williams, support the school's policy.
You may not agree with homosexuality, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So by removing a child from the classroom, it's sending struggling with their identity.
If I could have had a book like that when I was young, it would have made all the difference.
Can you guys hear me? Let's see, something disconnected. But how is it sending a negative message? How is my child, me removing my child? Okay, thank you guys. How is me removing my child sending a negative message to some other kid? What does, that's like saying, oh, because, kids had doctor's appointments. What does that mean, that they, like, all the kids are going to be scared to go to the doctor or something? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we take kids out of school all the time, like, oh no, what they want to do is force you to bow down to their will. That's what this is all about. This is they want to strong arm you. They're going to force you to believe what they want. They want to force all the religious kids to accept their lifestyle as normal, natural, regular, when that's not what we teach our children. That's just not what we teach. Let's see, Gary says the Western world is under attack by Marxists and Muslim Brotherhood. They use their intersectionality to groom the young students at universities. It's been going on since 1989. Oh, Gary, it's been going on for longer than that. The Frankfurt School, the communist Frankfurt School, came to the United States of America, implanted itself right snugly at Columbia University in 1923. Yes, 1923. We got a big problem. Huge. Gary, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see, Mrs. Grace says, this is why so much racial hatred is happening from elementary to post-grad school. Hey, spend all year in a struggle session. That is exactly right. No, Gary, no, this stuff has been around for years. I'm just saying, like, it's been in the institutions for, since the 20s. The left has been, they've been doing their long march. The institutions, like, really starting to dig in around that time. I'm reading School of Darkness by Bella Dodd. You guys should pick it up. It's really good. She talks about how she infiltrated the school system, how she infiltrated the church. Straight up communist. Gave her life back to Christ in the end, but she did what she did. So yeah, let's see. David M. Harrell says, yes, 100 years ago and right around that time, the Marxists decided to target the Negroes. Yes, he did. Because, communists didn't like the blacks at first. They were like, no, they're a little bit too religious, because typically religion kind of would shield you from Marxist ideology, because it's an atheist belief. It's an atheistic worldview. And but they infiltrated the church, and the quote unquote black church. And then you got figures like Martin Luther King. I know some of y'all don't look, you might not be ready for that conversation. We might not be ready for that conversation, but we deal with the truth over here, no matter how hard it is to hear. I know a lot of Americans aren't ready for that conversation. It was one that was hard for me as well. So I understand. But hey, I don't idolize no man. I don't put idolatry on a pedestal. The only idolatry that I will put up there is my biblical worldview. That is the only one. God has delivered me from that. I used to be one of those ones. For those who don't know me, I was one of those ones. My skin, God sat me down in 2017, said, your skin color has become an idol in your life. And he was right. And it was real. And I had to give that thing up. And it felt like 10,000 pounds had been lifted off of me. It felt like I really had been set free. It was truly a deliverance. I believe that's what most Black Americans need to happen in their lives. Skin idol worship is it's rampant. It is the thing that it has a strong hold over Black Americans. It really does. These people, like a Jamal Bryant, they will get in a pulpit and literally push things that are not biblical. And there's a whole slew of people out there amen in this foolishness. Anyway. Lori says, I'm so glad my son is 38. I would homeschool if he was school age today. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Yes, Mary. And yes, we just learned this. Hunter swatted once again and out support time for the dad. The police should know who is making those calls. So when dad does the unthinkable, he can claim temporary insanity. Oh God, I hope not. Oh my goodness. That would be terrible. Joe Nobody says, do they really worship their skin color or do they secretly despise it? That is a really good question. I think they worship their skin color. And I think they despise not being white. That's what I think. I think they worship it when it helps them. And then, I mean, because you never really hear Black folks being like, whenever it's a Black and white issue, they always point to, oh, well, if a white person did it, it would be fine. Meaning they want to just do, they just want to do what they perceive white people being able to get away with. Like, it's not, I think it is, either way, it's skin idolatry. You're worshiping, you're not looking at the core of the person. You're just looking at, oh, they're white, they do this. Oh, they're Black, they do that. Or I'm Black, I have to do this. It's not led by principles. It's not led by morals or values. It's led by, this is what Black does. Because being Black is not, it's political. It's not really, it really doesn't have anything to do with skin color per se. It has something to do with, it has everything to do with politics, Blackness, whiteness. It's a political thing. It's not really it's getting you to be a Democrat at the end of the day. But once you break that sever of understanding what Black is, then you can be set free. David says, and envy. Amen. Time to repent of all sin, including race idolatry. Yes, amen. So the last story I wanted to talk about was these judges. What is up with the judges that are being arrested because they want to cape for criminals? There's a judge who literally saw the police coming in, the FBI, to arrest a criminal that was before her, and homegirl told him to like dip out another way. It's insane.
A Milwaukee County Circuit judge has been arrested by the FBI and charged in federal court, accused of helping an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest. Trump officials say the arrest shows that no one is above the law, but opponents say the arrest is a threat to the legal system.
And tonight, Judge Hannah Dugan says she will defend herself vigorously and looks forward to being exonerated. John Fenolio is live in the KTLA News Center with the latest on this case. John?
Yeah, sure, Micah. Tonight, we have yet to hear specifically from Judge Hannah Dugan herself. However, the FBI says Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected ICE agents away from her courtroom where they were waiting outside to an arrest. FBI agents arrested Judge Dugan and marched her out of court in a very public spectacle.
Tonight, FBI Director Kash Patel posting this photo of Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan in handcuffs and being escorted from her courthouse Friday. According to a federal criminal complaint, Judge Dugan is charged with 2 counts of
Something. Can you guys hear? Could you hear the video? Because it stopped playing for me.
obstruction, including concealing a man.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Something has disconnected over here. Can you let me know in the chat if you can hear me? Okay. But you can hear me? Okay. So yes, you can hear me if you hear me asking questions. Okay. Let me see. See if I can.
And illegally to prevent his arrest. The 13-page complaint alleges Dugan helped Eduardo Flores, an undocumented immigrant, avoid arrest by ICE agents at the court building on April 18th. Flores Ruiz was before Judge Dugan for a criminal court appearance after he was accused of domestic battery following.
Okay, well, we can't hear that, but let's just read the story because we can read the story. All right. Okay, so Hannah Dugan. What do you know about Hannah Dugan? Milwaukee judge arrested amid ICE investigation on April 25th. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah C. Dugan was arrested by federal authorities April 25th and charged with 2 federal counts amid an investigation into whether she tried to help an undocumented, they make me so sick with this, an illegal alien avoid arrest after he appeared in her courtroom April 18th. The Milwaukee native has been part of Wisconsin's legal landscape for nearly 3 decades and molded a career that has focused mainly in civil law and civic leadership. Dugan is now in her 9th year as a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge. Here's what to know about her arrest. Brady McCarran, U.S. Marshal Service spokeswoman in Washington, D.C., confirmed Dugan was arrested about 8 a.m. April 24th. At the Milwaukee County Courthouse and is in federal custody. She was charged with 2 federal counts, obstruction and concealing an individual. McCarran confirmed to the Milwaukee's the paper. She appeared before the U.S. Magistrate Judge Stephen Dries at 10:30 on the 25th, and she was released. She made no public comments during brief hearing. As it ended, her attorney told the court she, quote, wholeheartedly regrets and protests her arrest, adding it was, quote, not in the interest of public safety. I'm sorry. So you letting an illegal back onto the streets was not, that was safe? Okay. I don't understand. Anyway, that's about her background and stuff. Here's what's important about this, what they're trying to say. Here's the truth. Let's get to the truth. These judges have been strategically placed. This is the same thing that happened in schools. They've done it in churches. They've done it in schools. Now we got in the courtroom. The left, have strategically placed judges in particular areas so when cases come up, they can execute their will and avoid American law. That's what it is. There is no way we should be talking about, we shouldn't even be having a conversation where a judge, the FBI has papers to arrest this man. She lets him out a side jury door to go free. And they're trying to say, oh, but this claim right here, he was let free on those charges, and they still had a deportation. He was still needed to be deported because a judge had already said that he needed to be deported because he came here illegally. And I don't know if you on like the Jasmine Crockett, maybe you're doing her definition of law. This girl got up on TV and said an illegal alien is not illegal. Like, what in the world? That's some public schooling for you right there. An illegal alien is not illegal. Well, I'll be. This is insane. Insane. So somebody in the chat just reminded me of this. I have to show y'all this. Yeah, this here ain't cute. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Let me show this to you. It just makes you think. Like, girl. It's a pickle. Here we go. Now, could you, like, she doesn't look very friendly. She doesn't look like a woman that probably upholds the law, maybe. I don't know. That's one, doesn't look like, a person that takes care of herself or really try, it's just not given. It's not giving them vibes. So I'm like, yeah, she don't look married. Jesus loves you. She looks like a cat lady. Yes, she looks like she has Trump derangement syndrome, Duke. Yes, y'all see, like, she just has the look. She has the classic female leftist look. Like, I don't know what it is. And I'm having a hot flash right now. I don't know what it is that makes them want to look like that. Like, I'm sure, like, it must be the mentality. It's like, I don't care about anything else but the agenda. So I'm going to let everything else in my life go to crap. My health, my looks, my, everything else, because we got to have this revolution. I'm about to be letting the illegals, dip out the jury door to evade police. Like, what are you thinking? She says her arrest it's a protest, though. That's not even the only one. Like, so she let the judges, the judge, the illegal go. Look at this judge. He was harboring illegals.
Venezuelan gang member facing federal charges after he was arrested in Doñana County. Reporter Alyssa Munoz is here with court documents showing this man was living on a judge's property.
Doug, that's right. This is a picture of the pair from court documents. Now, shortly after Lopez's arrest, Judge Cano.
A judge is supposed to avoid any appearance of any kind of impropriety. And so you have a situation here where The question is going to be, what did the judge know and when did he know it? How much did he know about the background of the defendant?
In late February, Homeland Security investigations arrested Christian Ortega Lopez for being in the United States illegally since December of 2023 and for possessing a firearm. Originally, officials were going to release him on conditions, but the government appealed that, bringing more evidence against him.
They said, look, Judge, we want you to put him back in custody because we have information that we didn't have the first time around that links him to this TDA gang, violent Venezuelan gang.
According to court documents, Lopez was staying in Las Cruces in a casita behind Judge Cano's house. In his post-Miranda interview, Lopez says he met Cano's wife after doing jobs for her. In the documents, it says she offered him to stay on their property after he was evicted. He adds he was also introduced to Cano's daughter, who, according to officials, allowed him to hold and sometimes shoot her firearms.
He's facing a lot of time in a federal prison, and he's also facing the potential of removal of deportation by the federal government.
In the March 5th petition filed by the Judicial Standard Commission, they alleged Cano allowed 3 known gang members to live on his property and allowed them access to guns. Cano resigned on March 3rd, and his last day was March 21st. Reporting, I'm Melissa Munoz, KBT Action 7 News.
What are you thinking? Marjorie says this illegal in particular, he put 2 people in the hospital with his bare hands. And in the same town as the other judge. She wasn't like the judge. This wasn't the man she was, that was before her that she let run off the side door, but it was in her same jurisdiction. There was a man in wherever the name of the place was. He had decapitated someone and was kicking around the head, like in the streets. These people do not have your culture, okay? I'm sorry. You can feel bad for the little, the illegals. You can feel bad, but you need to feel bad while they over there somewhere before they continue to hurt people. They do not have your culture. Excuse me. They don't have your culture. That is why in the Bible, God is like, look at the culture of the people. Oh, those Canaanites, don't go over there. Why, God? The culture. They don't behave like you do. They have a different worldview than you do. That judge destroyed evidence, smashing the illegal's phone. Insane. Like, this is... You think about the mindset that you have to be in to allow something like this to happen. How do you go all through law school? How do you build a career as a judge? You do all the things for you to turn around and be treasonous to your own country, because I think this is treasonous activity. I truly believe that. What Joe Biden did, letting all these illegals in, was treasonous. And the left has the nerve to say, oh, Trump, they're not getting their due process. It's not about the person, it's the due process. Well, let me see. You came in illegally. A judge said you were illegal, and then we deport you. That's the process. That's what Mayorkas, the last administration, that's the process that they put in place. Remember, there was no remain in Mexico anymore. If you come over here, then you, basically you'll go before the judge, and then they were going to let them go. And then they were going to come back on their own, accord of their own recognizance or whatever to stand before the judge. Yeah. Remember that? This is that process. You up out of here. It is crazy. These people do not care about this country at all. At all. I think we have to be a lot more concerned with what is going, with who is running these institutions. When you go to vote, you need to know who you're voting for, even in these local elections. The local elections are your most important elections anyway. We really need to remember, look up who these people are. Look at the organizations that they are involved in. Look at, try to see if they have some type of record of something before you vote them into office, because they are literally tearing down our country little by little. When Antonio Gramsci said that the long march through that his plan was the long march through the institutions, this is what we're seeing. LGBTQ little books being read to kids. That's in the schools, plus all the racism and all the other stuff, the crime and all of that, the restorative justice. It's in the church. You got Black liberation theology. You got liberation theology. You got the social gospel, which is what Martin Luther King said he wanted to come and preach. You got all of these progressive Christians. And now we have the law. The family. Oh, we don't, BLM. We don't want a normal family. We want we don't want to do a heteronormative family. No, that's old. We're enlightened. Boys can be girls and girls can be boys. Let's just tear everything up at the root. We're going to dismantle. These are BLM's words. Let's dismantle it, and so they can build up their own society. Well, we have seen what their society, the outcomes of their types of society. Mao, the Soviet Union, China today, Cuba, Venezuela, never Pol Pot, Lenin, Stalin, Soviet Union. They never work. This is what we're leaving to our children if we don't change how this goes. These people, look, Gary just said, ever notice how angry the LGBTQ Antifa, BLM, and Democrats are? They are completely one and the same. These people, they love denigration. They love to destroy things. They don't build anything. They burn cities down. They don't build them up. No, they don't do that. They go and key Teslas and damage property and try to beat on you if you have on a MAGA hat. They spit on you. They lunge at you. This is what happened to me. I was wearing a shirt for Trump. A Black guy lunged at me because I was wearing a Trump shirt. This is what these people do. They don't believe in civility. They will tear this country up, given the chance. This is what they're here for. They're not here they want the criminal. Clearly, they want the criminals here. They want America destroyed. This is like Barack Obama. I want to fundamentally change America. See, we thought we didn't know he was coming from a Marxist lens. We didn't know when he said fundamentally change the country. We thought he meant good change. You better dig. You best to dig and know what people are talking about. Ms. Graves says, quote, "See, I'll put my career on the line for this poor immigrant," or "she didn't think a consequence would happen," which shows how long this has been going on for. And that is what I believe. Oops, didn't mean to take that off. I think these people, because it has been going on for so long and they've been getting away with this kind of stuff, they didn't think that Trump was going to really be about that life. They did not. They don't believe, because he wasn't as aggressive the first time. My girls, they are the fifth column, those who work from within to destroy the nation. That is exactly what they're doing. Trajente. Is that right? The left birth rates are very low, which is why they are not concerned with children. They just want to indoctrinate your children. That's true. They don't want to have kids. They hate kids. They want you to kill them early in the womb. These people are demonic. They want them out of here quick, fast, in a hurry. And then if we can't get them in a womb, we're going to trans them and then permanently sterilize them. Or maybe we get them attracted to, indoctrinate them to get them same-sex attracted. You never have children that way either. Or, go and adopt some kids and then they can have their way with them. This is, we've got to understand what's really at play and keep speaking the truth, because it is only the truth that will make us free. Well, that is it for me tonight, you guys. Let me know what you think about what I think in the comment section below. Let's keep the discussion going. We got these 3 topics here. We got new info on these threats. As the threats come out with the Karmelo Anthony, they don't seem to be much like threats. We got the Supreme Court LGBTQ books. Simply parents just want to opt out. And the FBI is arresting judges. I am here for the arresting of judges, people who want to tear down our country. If you couldn't already tell, that was the side that I was on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next Monday live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will be posting throughout the week, so make sure you check that out too. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. All the new subscribers, thank you. It means a lot. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.